everybody.
Hi guys.
Welcome back.
To
This is, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. This is Champagne Whispers Fashion Week, which I keep saying. I've said this on Instagram, if you don't follow us, you need to. But I'm saying it's Blonde Vibrations Fashion Week. I don't know if that's cringe or not.
No, I think it's cute.
Okay, but I am Eliz.
I'm Lilyemma.
And we hope that you have your, well, it wouldn't be new season, would it? Something appropriate for Fashion Week. Put on some nice big boots.
Yeah, something
nice
extravagant.
Some sunglasses. I feel like is such a Fashion Week thing.
Yeah, big sunglasses.
Absolutely. This actually should have been the way that I said it. You're in a front row seat for our show. Yeah, for the Blonde Vibrations show.
I mean, not that we actually ran with the Fashion Week theme, because neither of us are in anything exciting. No offense to your Lana t-shirt.
I wonder how many episodes, not that you've seen all of them visually, but I bet a good majority of the last year's episodes have been recorded in this t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I know I've done a Champagne Whispers in it as well. But it fits to the theme of the episode because I am reusing what I own.
Yeah.
And we're good at that. But
this episode is video.
Hello.
So if you're watching on video, you'll see Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And also my Build-A-Bear.
She's actually facing the wall right now. I don't know what happened. I am going to move her. There we go. She's back.
We are grown women.
Mm-hmm.
We're just in my bedroom because it's too hot to sit outside. So.
If you are in the UK right now, you will understand the pain. This is the greatest, well, it depends how you feel about sun. This is the greatest week alive because Guts came out, but this is the worst week alive because the sun is out.
Yeah.
Unless you really enjoy it and you are a true sun baby.
Yeah,
but you're a sun baby.
It's too hot.
It's too damn hot.
We live pretty much next to central London.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just unbearable, and it's such a dry heat, and our house is a very warm house because it's a
terrace.
Yeah. And I'm
it's not okay.
I'm a sun baby, but I'm not a humid baby. And it's just
that is such a weird image. I'm not a humid baby. But yeah, so this is actually a very, very stretched out part 2 because we did an episode that was kind of fashion themed maybe 2 months ago, I would say.
Yeah, it was what was the caption, are we being brainwashed into our fashion choices?
That is such a cool title.
Yeah.
I actually might go rewatch that. I enjoyed it. But so it's kind of this fashion series. So this is part 2. It's not limited to 2 parts. There is such a unlimited amount of things that you could say about the fashion sphere. But we thought that this particular topic would be good because it is September, whether it feels like it or not. And I came at it from the angle of people are going back to uni and people think a lot about the fashion choices they're going to make whilst going to a new place, as we were saying in the last episode.
I was also saying that it's a change in seasons, which again, it doesn't feel like it, but this is so niche and not even applicable. Has anyone seen those TikToks about the Marks and Spencer's reduced food? I was literally on TikTok all day yesterday, and my entire For You page was full of Marks and Spencer's reduced food because they're just getting rid of all their summer food to make room for the winter food. So it is a changing of seasons, and people are going to start wearing different things, and
it's going to come up. Because I was actually saying, I feel like we go on so many tangents. I was saying to you, and maybe someone else, maybe it wasn't you, I don't know, this might be fresh, that because the summer has lasted so long, it's been extended outwards because of this heat wave, the change into autumn and probably winter is going to seem way more drastic. So although right now, for instance, you were in little top, little skirt, you're going to feel God, why do I suddenly need my coat? Because the changing of the seasons this year is just going to be so quick.
I think also is that whether it's a heat wave or not, what's it called? High street retail shops. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, high street retailers.
Yeah. Didn't know there was going to be a heat wave.
Yeah.
So you are still going to see the change of clothes going into this month
Mm-hmm.
to be more autumnal because they buy in ready for the start.
Yeah, they can't predict if there's going to be like a random weather change.
Yes.
Like if in the middle of summer there's suddenly like a week of rainfall, they can't possibly get in like raincoats and like wellies and stuff for that.
So I think it's still, even though it's not hot, is what we're trying to say. Well, even though it's hot, it's still a change in seasons and the beginning of like a new fashion trend, and a new cycle.
Yeah.
And like I was also thinking occasion wear. I think the winter months tend to have more celebratory things than the summer months. I mean, obviously you have like Christmas, New Year's. No one tends to have like a peak of summer wedding.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to have more people being like, yeah, I'm going to a wedding soon. So I just think, I mean, it's always topical to talk about fashion, but I think it's a fun time.
Especially because it's September as well. Next month is, and this isn't in the notes, so maybe another point we could talk about because it is just interesting. Halloween is coming around, and there is such a change in how people tend to dress for Halloween now. Like it's less costumes, it's more getting pieces of clothes and putting them together because you just tend to notice, and we'll talk about social media later, people are dressing more like people and like real people and less like
but it's very
costumey.
American.
Yeah,
like it's not scary costumes, it's costumes.
Yeah, like if I was
dressing up as someone rather than like a costume.
Like if I was dressing as Elle Woods, I wouldn't go to like a costume thing and find like Legally Blonde outfit, but I would purchase an all pink outfit and a bag and a little, like that. So that also affects how we're going to be buying things. Will people go to like fast fashion places or like
we should do an episode on Halloween
maybe next month? That might be appropriate. But yeah, we'll like contextualize this, and like we said that maybe we'll just talk about our like personal stances on how we go about like fashion choices.
Yeah, because the primary topic of this episode is fast fashion and sustainability. I don't know if we just got that across because we went on a tangent. But so it's on fast fashion, sustainability, and individual buying habits.
So for myself, I feel like I'm a convert. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Because I used to be like, not pro fast fashion. I was so into trend cycles and also just consuming. I'll buy a lot of things all the time. And I don't know if that would be, I don't know what it's down to be honest. I don't know if this is like changing with like age and confidence or whatever. But now I think I take a step back and I really think about what I'm going to buy, regardless of where it's from. I'll think about like if I can't see myself wearing it more than this amount of times, or like I can think to myself like, am I just hopping on something, or is it like a choice that I'm gonna like forever? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what I've changed, and I'm not minimalist. That's the thing though. No. Like I don't have like, I've not gone like back to basics in terms of like what I choose to wear, but I'll just think like if that's a pretty like garish thing, like will I actually
the
wear
longevity of clothes rather than, I think you as a person, you like the experience of buying things and like consuming things, but I think you make more of a conscious effort of like whether the joy that you're getting from something you buy is gonna last a longer time rather than that instant rush of like coming home with a shopping bag.
Yeah, because I also, and this might be like a mental thing, is that I will also look at something, be like, as much as I like it, that won't suit me. Like I could love something so much, but if I know that I won't feel good when I put it on, I won't get it. Like I won't just get it because I like the item. I have to like it for me now, and that's where I've like changed.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the opposite, which is if you listen to our very first Champagne Whispers, or no, our second Champagne Whispers, it's about how we kind of like merged. And I feel like this is kind of a case of it because you've gone one way, I've gone the other. We've kind of met in the middle. I used to never buy clothes. I feel like I was one of those people that would have almost like one shopping spree every now and then. And normally, like when I was growing up, it would be like my birthday. Like I would get birthday money and then I would go and I would refresh my wardrobe because obviously you kind of needed to do that more when you were younger. And I feel like then when I grew up and had my own money, I didn't really just buy things, and I was very like stingy, and I don't know, I just didn't really want to spend the money on them.
Yeah.
Which meant that I didn't have a lot of clothes, but what I did have I really liked.
Yeah.
I think I had a very concise wardrobe. Not like we always say, it's not a capsule wardrobe,
No.
but it had like a capsule
This is how wardrobe.
But it had like a capsule wardrobe essence, because everything I wore would go together, and if I wouldn't buy something if it didn't fit with my wardrobe, because I wouldn't get maximum wear out of it. But within the past like year, I've gotten better with buying things because I like them. And
I feel like that is where I have influenced you a little bit.
yeah,
Because as much as I say, like, I don't do things like that as much anymore, fashion and clothing is one of my core hobbies and interests. So if I didn't do it, I am not expressing my interests. And like maybe that's where you've come into it as an interest a bit more. Yeah, I will talk about like overconsumption and stuff later, but from like a general sense, like you've come into like buying clothes because it interests you, and like the possibilities, not just what it can do for what you currently have.
Yeah, and I've been able to like appreciate, because I always liked clothes, and now I still get to the point where I'm like, I have nothing to wear, nothing's like sparking joy, but I can now appreciate that in order to have a happier wardrobe, I need to buy things. And like now I'm very happy with my wardrobe. I can also see half of my wardrobe in front of me.
That's such a thing. Like we'll get into other like tips and stuff later, but the fact that you can see a lot of your stuff is so good.
I think it's better for me. So for context, I have a clothes rail with all of my like dresses on, because I'm like a dress girly. And I think that also helped with me buying more things, was because some of those dresses I probably wear a couple times a year because they're formal, but I can still see them, so it doesn't feel like a waste to me because I can see them and they still spark joy.
And the fact that like, yeah, you only wear them a couple of times a year, but because you've picked those things that they're gonna like move forward.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I'm looking at a white star dress, which is very clearly seasonal.
Yeah.
Because that's a later months kind of dress. But every season you can come around and wear that. Like it's
one other season.
Yeah, because it's coming up to the season, and then you can wear it. Like give it November, December.
Yeah, festive.
Little angel. Yeah. But yeah, we're kind of talking about this because as time goes forward, there is just like, I feel like the buzzword is like sustainability, and like there's a lot of like negative just coverage on fast fashion and everything. So it is just interesting to talk about, because you can't just like, you don't just go to a shop anymore, pick something up and buy it, and that be the last you kind of think about it. Like you are almost made to, in like a good way, made to kind of consider why you're doing something and the purposes and the consequences of it as well.
Something that I find interesting is, I think it's more of a selling point now, sustainability. I think brands, whether they are sustainable or not, they use that kind of buzzword to be like, this is a good company, you should buy from this. And I think that's something we've seen more over maybe like the last 4 years.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of like, I don't know if it's being used correctly a lot of the time.
Well, do you know what? There's some websites that will tell you how much, like, it's like greenwashing, isn't it? Where it's like presents itself as more like sustainable and like better for the environment and everything than it actually is. Just because people say like, we use recycled like materials now, but then when you look on their website and everything else is so poor, like they have like a bar of like whether it's like good or bad. Just because they're saying they're doing something good, it's not taking away all of like the rest of the. It's kind of like Pretty Little Thing has a marketplace now. So in theory, they are taking like a really good step forward, because you know they're like clothes swapping, whatever. But what have you changed about the rest of like your entire like retailing approach? Nothing. You're still like one of the key like fast fashion brands.
Yeah, I was talking to our housemate a while ago about this, and it was about a specific brand, which I'm actually not going to name. And
I might know the one you mean.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it at the time. And I was saying I really like this brand, and she was like, I agree. However, I think very openly sustainable, and that's what first drew me into them.
Yeah.
However, when they got bigger, I think they now follow trends more than they used to. And at what point are you a sustainable brand, but you're still fast fashion? And it was a really interesting conversation, because that brand is what you would expect from a high-end sustainable brand. It has like limited collections,
like
it's on the
pre-orders
pricey
and
side,
stuff.
yeah. But then she was saying that they've got such set trends, and I don't think a lot of their stuff is timeless anymore. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Just because you're a sustainable brand, the individual choices that you make each season can actually make you more or less sustainable. So while you're using recycled fabric, and you like structurally you are a sustainable company, there is still another level, kind of the opposite of what you're saying, where the smaller things aren't sustainable, but your bigger things are.
And this is a reach, because if this is not the company that you're talking about, then this is just like weird. If it is what I think you're talking about, is they used to be very known for certain styles that would then get copied. Like, they had their set things, and they kind of didn't go beyond that, because they had their set styles that they were known for, because they were like capsule, and they would only do a certain amount. And now it's like your turnover of styles and products is like increasing. Like, to begin with, you're like, wow, I didn't know they would do stuff like that. That's really cool. But then at what point it's like, how much are you producing per year now? Whereas before, you only stuck to not what you knew, but what you were. And now you're branching out, which is obviously good for your company, but at what cost?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult that there's this idea that sustainability is linked with limited runs. And like almost like anti-consumerism. I don't know if that's a word.
Maybe.
But if you're gonna have that sustainability equals less products, what happens with the natural growth of a clothing company is that you would have more products. I mean, think about like really like well-known high-end brands, whether they're sustainable or not. Gucci is big because Gucci does multiple things and it has multiple avenues, and it has something for everyone. So at what point is a brand almost cutting themselves short by being sustainable and only having limited runs and sticking to this one thing that everyone knows them for? At what point is that brand just going to like fizzle out, and then you are going to go to the fast fashion?
It is really interesting. And you know, one brand that I think really balances everything well, and then we'll get onto the first poll because it's very relevant, but Hissy Fit. I am such a Hissy Fit, and I hope things don't then come out that really go against what I'm saying, but I'm very confident in what I'm saying is they have very limited stock. They also, you know, revamp things a lot. They have quite a wide selection of things they do, but it is based on the same materials, and they use offcuts and things like that.
And you can see it in the clothes, in that they will have everything in the same print, because you can tell that they've bought it out, and it's the transparency of the brand that...
because I think her name's Danielle, is the owner, founder of Hissy Fit. She is so transparent about everything, to the point where I think she's got a few, I don't know if it's different now, but at the time she got a few comments being like, why don't you do size XX, whatever? And she was like very transparently talking about like the costs and the production and everything. And it's like, now you can see the clear picture, whichever way you feel about things and whichever argument you are on. If you are completely open about every decision you're making for the company, and I know that's kind of a tangent again, but seeing the way the cogs turn, it makes you like value what they're doing a lot more.
It almost feels a bit more trustworthy in like a world where, because sustainability is trending, we now have companies greenwashing and saying that they are sustainable when they're not. I think you can then appreciate when a brand is really open and they're like, this is the reason why we do things the way we do, and this is the factory. This is how it happens. Because then there's no space for this possible greenwashing and this hidden like carbon footprint.
Well, we'll do the poll because then I have something to say that links to the results. So the question was, How has the increased coverage of how fast fashion affects the world changed the way you shop? No judgment, because that's still true. And then the 3 options were, it doesn't change the way I buy clothes, I buy a mixture of fast fashion and sustainable, or I only make sustainable purchases. What one?
Mixture.
By how much?
Majority, like a lot.
Yeah, basically. 88% of people said I'm a mixture of fast fashion and sustainable. 12% of people, which I was really like, wow, 12% of people only make sustainable purchases. Like, that is such a crazy place to get to. So my first point is, if you are, because I feel like, although it said no judgment, some people don't want to admit
they don't want to vote that they only shop fast fashion.
So I don't think you should be looked at in a worse manner if you only buy fast fashion, because it's a privilege to be able to shop sustainably.
Yeah.
If you genuinely can only buy fast fashion, because that is a major selling point, is the price point is so little, obviously because of all the things behind it. But if you can only afford a £5 dress from Pretty Little Thing, I don't think you personally should be like shunned because you can't afford £100 sustainably made dress. Like, it's not your fault, whichever way you like go about it.
I think also there's, like you said, the price, there's values of shopping fast fashion, and it's more than one person buying like a hoodie from Primark. Like, it's a bigger thing than that.
Yeah, because we'll talk a bit later about like personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to say that leads back to what we were just saying is, when people vote on things like this, I think about the brand that we're not going to discuss, and I think, oh yeah, I buy from there quite regularly. I am buying sustainably, so therefore I'm more on the sustainable side. But if companies aren't honest and they are greenwashing and stuff, you think you're buying in a sustainable way when you're not, which is, it's a really difficult place to be in as a consumer, because then you think you're contributing to like the changing of things, but you're not, and it's not your fault. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of wording it again, because also, like, there's a difference between making sustainable purchases, like you just said, and buying from sustainable shops.
Yeah.
Because you can buy from Hissy Fit, and that's a sustainable shop. But if you're buying 30 items that you're going to wear once, that's not a sustainable choice. Whereas if you're going to a fast fashion place and you're buying one hoodie and you wear that hoodie every day and you wear it until it falls apart, then that is sustainable for you.
Yeah, because, for instance, I am a mixture of both. This exact outfit is a mixture. This top, the Lana Del Rey one, is from Urban Outfitters. This is a fast fashion top. However, the decisions I made around buying this, I thought of it in a, not sustainable, but in a longevity way. Yeah, I didn't buy it straight away. I thought about how much I wanted it. Secondly, it's Lana. This isn't just a trend in my mind of my, I didn't hear about her last week and I'm like, okay, now I want to wrap her. Like, this is like a long thing. I ended up working at Urban Outfitters, so I could see it a lot and I could see other people wearing it, and I was like, no, this really is the decision for me. The amount that I have now worn it it makes it worth it. Like, yeah, it was fast fashion. And you know what? One thing I will admit is I probably could have looked on like Vinted or something. Didn't think about it until this moment. But I will wear this until it falls apart. The fake tan stains on this top is like criminal. I had to get my mum to do a deep clean of it because like it has like blood, sweat and tears in it, like quite truly. And then compare it to the skirt I'm wearing, not that you can see, it's from a charity shop, so it is the better decision, and time will tell. Do you know what I mean? I could wear this once and throw it away.
Also, like, there's also the idea that if you buy fast fashion it's going to fall apart, which I think it's down to like your own judgment. I think you can pick something up and be like, that's not gonna last.
Yeah, I accidentally played footsie.
Like, I have a hoodie from Primark that I must have bought a couple years ago, and it's what I wear if I'm going somewhere and I don't want to wear my nice hoodie because it can get wrecked. I can sit on it in a festival. I don't care if it gets pulled or whatever, and it's lasted me really well. And if I didn't wear that, I wouldn't wear a hoodie at all because I don't want to get my nice hoodie wrecked, because then it would be a nice hoodie ruined, which isn't sustainable.
Yeah, and it's also, looking back in my wardrobe, the dress I almost wore today, not that you can see it, it was just way too revealing for what I wanted to be on camera, but it was from Zara, again, a really bad fast fashion culprit. However, I bought that dress probably 6 years ago, and I love it, and it still stands the test of time. And this, again, is probably another topic about how retailers' quality of garments has gone downhill.
Oh, I'd love to speak about that with a guest.
Yeah, I know the guest you mean. Because if I bought that dress now from Zara, first of all, it would fit more illy. More ill.
Ill-fitted.
It would be very ill-fitted, because that's what I just find in Zara now. And the quality wouldn't be as good. And that's a generalization, but based off of evidence.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not. But yeah, so I will keep that, and I'll probably keep that forever. And it's also, sometimes I look at dresses and I'm like, I know I'm going to put that in like a suction vacuum pack little bag for future generations. Like, I know that's such a dumb thing to say, but I actually do think that. Some dresses I have, I'm like, I could easily give that to like a niece or nephew to wear, like, if they want to. I'm going to keep that. And it's because I have like trauma from this. Does anyone remember the trend? Well, it's kind of back again, so it's just going to keep bugging me. Pink boiler suits. And I really wanted one. I had a pink boiler play suit, but it wasn't the same. My mum shrunk it. But there was these like boiler suits, and I really wanted one, but they were really expensive. And they had them in Urban. And me and Mum went into Urban one time, and she went, "I had that when I was your age." And I went, "Well, where is it?" She went, "I got rid of it." I'm like, "But what if you'd have just kept that? And then, you know, the cycle could have just gone down the generation."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, I had loads of stuff like this, and it's all gone." Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
But
Yeah.
I guess also, if you're moving house,
Yeah,
like if you don't have the storage for it,
that is true.
like, I don't think I could probably keep any of my stuff.
No, that's why I'm thinking like suction vacuum packed.
Yeah.
Because then they're gonna be like, what is it, flat out?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then put it where?
It's a good question, which I'm not thinking about right now. That's not where my
And then we're
mind's
gonna start raising like family house moving issues.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I think that's a good like way to round off the point, because now we are kind of going into like personal responsibility and things like that.
Yeah, I think what we were saying when we were planning is it's an awareness of sustainability, not necessarily sustainable purchases.
Yeah. Well, okay, so in terms of the poll then,
Yeah.
the question was, what do you think about personal responsibility in fashion consumption? The 3 choices were, our personal choices make all the difference. Number 2, we can only do so much as individuals. And number 3, my singular changes do not fix the bigger issue at all.
One of the last 2. Middle one.
Yeah.
No.
Although, I am surprised that 3% of people did say that what you do will not change it at all.
I understand the precedent now.
Yeah.
Because I think we've had like a green movement of consumerism for a very long time now.
Yeah.
Like, if you consider that we're talking about fashion and we have trends that change at the bare minimum every season, because that's how fashion cycles are.
Yeah.
We've had a green movement for so long because it has outlasted each cycle. And I think it can feel demotivating when it's not reflected by the bigger companies. A matter of fact is that environmentally, us using metal straws isn't going to undo the work of oil companies.
Yeah.
Like, matter of fact is that I can see why 3% would vote that, because I understand, no, my actions don't make a difference, because they won't make a notable difference if the bigger things don't change. I understand it.
It's the same argument, and this is coming from a vegan. It's the same thing of like, you stopping eating meat. What's that going to do? Because unless every single person stops eating meat, it's still going to happen.
Mm.
So it's which way, it's kind of like,
But if you live like that,
yeah,
then nothing's ever going to happen.
it's the pessimist optimist argument. Yeah, it would take a lot of people doing it. So if a lot of people do it and take the personal responsibility, then it will slowly but surely make a difference. But I understand that it can be really hard to feel like me going to the shop and buying a skirt from British Heart Foundation over Urban Outfitters, I'm saving the world. And, you know, there is no planet B. I'm saving planet A. I'm thinking that, like, I so understand that.
Yeah.
Especially when I am talking about charity shops a lot, but that is, like, for me, a main thing. We'll talk about that later. But when you see these stories about how so much of what you give to a charity shop ends up in a landfill, and then it's so hard to think, like, why am I trying to support that? Which I will still support it, but why am I full force, full send supporting charity shops if it's going to end up in the same place as my £5 Pretty Little Thing dress?
Yeah.
Like, when you see arguments like that, it's easy to see why 3% think that.
Yeah, and I also see an argument here where it's like, if the sustainable option, sorry, if the sustainable option is the more expensive option, this sounds so silly, but I hope you know what I mean. Why would I spend the money on a really expensive dress when I could get a cheaper dress and then put money into something else that deserves the money? Like, I could see a dress in Primark. Let's just say Hissy Fix for our example. I could buy that, but then Hissy Fix not even that expensive. I don't know. You understand what I mean.
But more expensive than a £5 dress.
Yeah, and then I buy the £5 dress, and then I could go buy a meal for someone who can't buy a meal.
True.
Like, I can see that argument.
It's a very, like, swings and roundabouts.
Because there's so much that needs to be done in, like, the general, like, world.
Yeah.
At what point does an individual person allocate what time, what money, what resources?
And yeah, I think that's why. So 62% of people said we can only do so much as individuals. And it's so, like, so as an individual, we are responsible for what is going on in terms of how fast fashion is ruining the planet. Let's just put it frankly, because it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
These places aren't just doing it for no one to purchase. It's because we're seeing them be trendy. So obviously, for better or for worse, all of these fashion companies will hop on it as quickly as possible to make money from what we want. Like, if we want, what's the House of Sunny jacket, the cardigan?
Pecky?
No, the one that has, like, the sunset on. Is it a day tripper? You know the one.
Yeah.
And in, like, lockdown, it was like everyone wanted it.
Yeah.
So Shein and AliExpress and all of these places would make, like, the cheap option, and then they would be sold out because we want
people
it.
would buy them.
Yeah, so in that way,
people have the argument that, like, if I can get the same thing for cheaper, why wouldn't I get it cheaper?
Yeah, like, why would I spend 100 when if I get £10 an hour, why would I spend 10 hours of work when I could spend 2?
And we're also in a cost of living crisis.
Yeah, so it's, from a personal perspective, it's just a difficult place to be in, because it's also just morals, you know, how you think about things. I feel personal responsibility because I feel guilty if I'm going out.
Because you're a heavily moral person.
Yeah.
Like, you're a morally driven person.
True.
And some people are, and it's not that's a good person, that's a bad person.
Because it can be, like, to detriment.
Some people are financially driven. Whereas you are very morally driven as a person.
True.
Like, even in, like, smaller sense.
Yeah. But then I think, so because I guess, like, vegan, things like that, I think we can personally make a difference. Because the more people that I personally can make a difference, you will see the demand for things go down and the supply. But then it is easier said than done.
I also think that's not to say that everything you do has to be sustainable to make a difference.
No.
I was thinking about Taylor Swift and her jet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that's a whole other controversy, whether it's her air miles or if it's that she's lending it to friends.
Yeah.
Or or whatever. But I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, yeah, she's got X amount of pollution from her private jet, but she donates to charities so much.
Mm-hmm.
She helps the economy wherever she goes. She helps out fans with money. She's so charitable and giving in other ways.
Where does it balance out?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then I guess you have people like Coldplay who do like zero.
Was that where when you stomp on the ground it generates the power?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like you can find ways to get around. And like, what was it, Greta?
Oh,
That
yeah.
did the travel without any. She doesn't travel planes.
Yeah.
She only travels ships and things like that.
She travels ships. And yeah, it's like the O2, was it Carbon Zero? That they say a lot of their shows are that. And Reading and Leeds. I might have just made that up.
Really?
No, I don't know. Just your shock made me think.
I heard that.
I don't know. I feel like, because I was looking up a Måneskin concert. I feel like I can't look it up right now. But, okay. I'm gonna say this editor note. I know everyone else can hear this editor note. Becky, tell me if I'm lying. Just put a little, like, text strip saying she was lying or she was telling the truth.
Oh, put like, oh, she's gonna love this episode. She's gonna overdo it with like facts. Like,
our editor Becky is very sustainable.
Yeah.
And I know studying the ocean doesn't make you sustainable, but she is just like,
as a person, she's very like environmentally aware.
Yeah, she's just aware. That's the exact word. So she's gonna know if we're like absolutely lying. But yeah, I think, and also, so Billie Eilish, she probably does a mad ton of things that are bad for the environment.
Yeah.
But she is so heavily, like, she is, you know, the overheated work and things like that. It's reducing it in other ways. So could that be here if you buy from fast fashion but you use, for instance, reusable makeup pads and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's like small steps, or a bamboo toothbrush, you know, things like that, which I know we're going slightly off fashion,
Electric
but
toothbrush.
is personal responsibility in fashion, is that just one compartment of our personal responsibility in general?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, oh, I don't care about, like, buying from fast fashion, so I'm an awful person, I don't think anything in the world can change. But if you just, like, prioritize where you do think you can change, like, I'll buy a top from Primark once a month, but I drink oat milk.
Yeah.
Things like that. I don't know.
Well, then you have the question of, is oat milk the most
sustainable
plant-based milk?
We could so do an episode about like veganism and like just vegetarianism and things like that. So we'll stop right now.
But yeah, I think it's interesting while we're talking about how much individual responsibility do we have as people, because you have the idea that if you're feeling responsible for the environmental impact, then you have to do everything in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think that's the case. I think we try and make sustainable and environmentally friendly choices, but from time to time, we don't.
And you can't like shoot yourself for that. If you come home with like a new look top, I'm not actually going to beat you up.
She's going to take me around the back
and shoot you. Yeah, because it's like, at the end of the day, we do all know to some extent that the bigger companies do have the power to overturn things. Like, it's like poverty could be ended with the government's money.
Yeah.
They just choose not to.
Like, just print more money.
I thought, what did I think the other day that I was like, this is my print more money argument? Did I say it to you? I was like, I just feel something and I don't know what it was. No. So therefore I'm going to cut myself off. But, okay, we'll go on to the next point.
Yeah, because I feel like we could talk about that for ages.
Yeah. And it kind of is the elephant in the room, because as much as we think personal responsibility, like just our choices day to day, like it's exactly just what I'm thinking in my head. We are all influenced by social media.
Yeah, you can't, like, matter of fact is that you can't think without social media anymore.
And we can't have this argument and discussion. If we ignored social media, it's actually not a fair point to make anymore. Like, 30 years ago, but like even TikTok.
Yeah, like 30 years ago.
But like now, we can see how quickly there is a turnover with fashion and like trend cycles and stuff, which is where the next question box comes in. And you guys like really like came through with these.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a lot of like me just relaying this now. So it was just basically the downfalls of social media on promoting fast trend cycles, because it does. Like, it's not, oh, do you think it does? It does. Basically. So someone said it's just frustrating how so many shops will hop on trends very quickly, sell the same thing for a month, and then move on to the next trend. And this is a really interesting point. Originality in designing is totally lost and wasted.
Yeah, because fast fashion jumps on trends, and in order to jump on a trend, you need to recreate a trend.
Yeah, it's like what I was saying about the House of Sunny cardigan, is that instead of someone creating a rival cardigan that's different and sustainable in a separate way and makes people want to move over to your one, you're just copying it, undercutting like the costs and the production times and everything just to make money from it. And then the next time someone comes up with a original idea, you're just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's like when Kim will wear something, and then what was it? Was it Fashion Nova lawsuit? So Kim wore a dress, and then they just copied it completely within 24 hours. And it's like, where's the originality and like innovation? Because you're not designing your own things anymore. You're just waiting to see what the upwards curve in a trend is.
Yeah, and then just copying it.
Someone else, I hadn't even thought of this, and this is so interesting. Someone said, and I'm gonna swear, someone said, promoting shit like clean girl aesthetics, so a whole generation buys clothes to fit one specific style, which will die, whilst they're lining the pockets of influencers who are glamorized salespeople.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting point.
Yeah.
So valid.
I like that.
There's a whole other discussion on like influencers and things like that, but I so agree with the whole aesthetic thing.
And I think it would be foolish to talk about fast fashion without acknowledging the capitalist agenda of consumerism and of buying things. Is that matter of fact, is that sustainable or not sustainable, companies want you to buy things because they want to make money. Because everyone just wants to make money.
Yeah, and it's like,
and there's nothing to be said about independent choices, because there are no independent choices.
You're being pushed towards something. Yeah. Because so TikTok is clearly the biggest driving force. It's like surpassed Instagram and things like that. People will check that with their breakfast. I do. Yeah. So if you see this new aesthetic unlocked, and what is it at the minute? The Hailey Bieber, like strawberry
girl, strawberry,
like maple cinnamon and everything. So you'll see that, and then everyone will start like herding towards it. But then you'll see emails come through from the fashion companies using the same phrasing. Like, I was getting like ballet core coming through, and then the fast fashion companies, all of a sudden, everything's ballet core, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, even when you were working at Urban, you would see these little pockets of like fashion trends. It was crazy. Like, you'd have this whole section that was ballet core, and then you would see this whole other section of like grunge, denim, and you could. It's the weirdest thing when you go into shops like that.
Yeah,
because there's so much creative direction in shops like Urban that trying to not look cheap fast fashion to capture it, and that's what you're then drawn to, and then you buy everything there.
Yeah, and it's just this whole like core thing. It's so interesting, and I think the one point is that we, as like a newer generation, we're not the youngest generation, but the ones younger than us, are trying, like, we are very aware of the problem that's been caused, so we do begin trying to mix like fashion trends to try and keep them going a bit longer. So you had like ballet core, but then it's like bloke core, and then they began to merge, where it'd be like you'd have like the football shirts, but then you'd be wearing like ribbons and stockings with it, and it is keeping them going a bit longer. But even that, where did the bloke core? It is starting to go again and into the new thing, and whether that be because it's going into like winter and maybe like ballet core is not as sustainable in a you can't wear like stockings and lace in like winter months in like Antarctica. It could be that.
You Antarcticans. I think something to say on this is that, yeah, we can blame it on influencers, just to like counteract it a bit, is that yes, it's influencers, it's TikTok, it's social media, but the trends did exist before.
They did.
I think we're at risk here of being like, fast fashion exists because of social media and influencers.
Yeah, because that's the poll we've got in a bit as well.
Yeah, but it's not. Matter of fact is that that's not what we're saying. It's like the chicken and the egg. But like,
yeah,
we know what came first, and it's not social media.
It is just so interesting. Like, this isn't like an argument, but it's just an observation. It is so interesting to see how quickly something on like TikTok mainly can just rise, and all of a sudden, silver Primark cowboy boots. The way they just rose up, and then they'll be out of stock. And it's the same with, I'm facing this problem at the minute, is fake Uggs. Because this is my thing, is I got some just like brown boots, you know, the cozy boots. Like, they weren't fake Uggs because they weren't trying to be, from a charity shop, from Cancer Research last winter. And I wore them for a couple of weeks and I loved them. And then they physically broke. And I was like, okay, so now where do I fall? Because if I'm going to keep getting them from there to be sustainable, but they are going to break, and that's wastage.
It's also, you buy fake versions of Ugg boots because you won't buy real versions of Ugg boots because they're not vegan.
True.
So at what point,
like, which one is worse?
The option would be to buy real Uggs.
Because they're going to last longer.
Yeah. However, morally,
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But, and this is, we're so like going off topic again, leather. I won't be the first hand buyer of leather, but I will second hand buy leather. I would buy vintage leather to keep it going as long as possible. So I would probably buy second hand Uggs, but they're more likely to get scuffed, and like, as a product they're probably not. So then that's a, should I even be buying them? But then again, and this is such a like ping pong against like morals and your own thoughts, but why should I not contribute to what I want to wear? I really want to wear Uggs this season, even if they're not going to last forever. Why should I not wear what I want to wear? Because then I'm making a sacrifice for like the greater good, but I'm not happy because I'm seeing other people wear them, and I'm like I wish I was you.
Yeah.
So where does it end?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Unanswered.
Yeah, to be continued, I guess. Yeah, so the next one is, as we've literally been talking about TikTok so much, TikTok Shop gets you bargains but very unsustainable sources.
TikTok Shop is crazy.
I didn't believe it to begin with.
No, I don't understand it, and the fact that there's now like a feed for it, I keep accidentally going on it. I've only ever bought one thing on TikTok Shop, and it was hair syrup, so I knew it wasn't like weird, and it was just because they had a good deal, but it was directly from the brand.
People buy like chicken meat.
Yeah, and you have the live streams of people selling it, and it's so like dystopian. Like, it really scares me. Like, it's normally you that get scared by things like that. But
I do.
TikTok Shop is really scary for me. So if anyone has bought from TikTok Shop,
Caitlin has. Really? Sorry to out you, Caitlin. I think she's bought a few things like makeup brushes and things. And I guess
about her experiences.
Maybe it's different when you're buying from, like you said, hair syrup as a brand. So yeah, you're getting it from TikTok Shop, but it's just because they're big on TikTok, so it's like an easy like stream. But like, you don't consider when they're like unbranded things, where are they coming from? Like, you can buy clothes and stuff that are just unbranded. Like, you see a lot of like all-in-one like jumpsuits and like bodysuits.
Yeah,
and
I keep
stuff.
getting a dress advertised to me.
Like, where is it coming from? Someone else said super cheap TikTok Shop, basically Shein. And it's like, yeah, now I come to think about it, I don't know how much I can argue this case because I have no idea where it comes from.
Did you see, this is really niche, did you see that TikTok of that girl? And she did a street interview. She was interviewed in a street interview, and they were asking about her fashion choices, and they were like, where do you get most of your clothes from? And she was like, Shein. And then everyone in the comments rinsed her for it.
Really?
She got so much hate. And I didn't see the original, and you saw her, like, is it called a stitch?
Yeah, I think so.
her stitch being like, I didn't know, and I'm not saying that I'm innocent, but everyone's been ignorant at points, and I didn't know. Like, I genuinely did not know that it was like basically slavery.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like, and I think to jump on this like hate for something that I didn't know was a thing,
Yeah.
that's not what you're trying to do, because you're personally attacking me and I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy because it's like, to us it's like obviously Fion's bad,
Yeah,
but
like how can you not know?
she was like in her 30s and was just like, I just didn't.
If you're not, because like we were saying, these generations, we are so like in the know about things, but this awareness wasn't there. And like, whilst yeah, we have TikTok and older generations do have TikTok, but you have to think, are they on the same side of TikTok that is seeing it? Or are they just seeing the clothes that we're wearing and think, I want to get that, I'm going to go
And
and
it's
Shein.
so easy to miss like news.
Yeah.
It's so
Like,
easy.
yeah, you are.
There's so much news all the time. It would be so easy to not hear about all the factories and things.
Yeah, like you are being ignorant to an extent.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely haven't seen something, like, yeah, you should be researching what you do, like, as like a rule of thumb. You should be like knowledgeable about what you're like just doing in life. But you can't be absolutely like reprimanded if you just miss something every so often.
You can't know everything always.
I
the same way that
personally,
you can't do everything always.
I don't agree, but I understand like where it's coming from. Like, I think
Yeah.
you should know, but if you haven't, like, I can't personally be like, why? Like, get educated. You know what I mean? Someone else just said like the downfall is just the constant need to be on trend, and that is just like an overriding point, because
It's easier said than done to just wear what you want to wear, I think. Like, even us, we have very set styles and we're very happy with our clothing
choices,
purchases. But even now and then we'll go to something and I'm like, I have nothing that fits the vibe.
Yeah.
And you want to conform and you want to wear something that's the vibe.
Well,
and
it's like
sometimes you don't have things.
We were going to an event very recently,
yeah,
and it's something that we really hadn't delved into, this side of like society, I guess. And we were like, I don't know what to wear. Like, we want to look cool, and it's like people are so like scared to admit that they want to look cool for something.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that you don't think like it. Obviously, we want to address like being positive about like yourself and what you own and everything, but like it's not fair to just say like I have to be happy with everything I wear, when like if you want to look cool and you don't think what you own is like good enough, whether that be the case or not, like other people might not think it, but if you think it, and that's going to affect you and your like sanity and like happiness, if you're going somewhere because you didn't buy something really last minute because you were like, I can't make that negative fashion choice, so I'm just going to wear what I already have. And then you have such a horrible night because you're overthinking it and you're just really sad about what you're doing. You have to like live for yourself at some point.
And trends are fun because while trends, like as one of the first people said, trends influence non-creativity because it influences copied fashion. Trends are also fun because it gives you space to experiment.
Yeah.
And it gives you a chance to buy things that you can otherwise buy. For example, the silver cowboy boot trend. Silver cowboy boot trend. You wouldn't have been able to find them easily if it wasn't for the trend.
Yeah.
Cowboy boots in general, you wouldn't have been able to get them accessible.
Yeah, it just creates
if it
accessibility.
didn't become trendy. And yeah, I think trends, they're inevitable and they can cause negative impact on environment, but I think it's also fun. And if you want to buy the £30 silver cowboy boots from Primark, don't, because I want them. But
like, leave a pair and a 5. Just don't. If you're a 6, go for it. If you're a 5, don't.
But do it, because if it makes you happy, then it makes you happy, and it's not worth missing out on.
It's also, and this is like devil's advocate, because this is obviously about the downfalls. Yeah, like, to be on trend, you're not necessarily contributing to anything by wanting to be on trend, because you can easily go to like charity shop, whatever, or go on Vinted, and if you want the cowboy boots, get them from Vinted instead of going to another place. Like, there's going to be that option for a lot of things.
Yeah.
if
Not
you
the silver
can.
cowboy boots in a size 5.
No, but like just a lot of things. Like there's a lot of Ganni things that I really like, and I actually think they are sustainable, right? But they're just quite expensive. I can't afford it, so I'll go on Vinted and try and find Ganni or Ganni dupe and things.
We've started going into shops and just going Ganni dupe, Ganni
Like,
dupe.
I'm trying. If you guys know the shoes, the black buckled, like with the silver like hardware on it, I want them so bad. And okay, so this is probably like my downfall is I am begging Primark to make a fake version. And like I'll admit when like I'm not 100% sustainable because
I
it's
guess
difficult.
because also
Like Ganni dupe tonight, Queen.
it goes back to if you're buying something because it's a trend and you think it's fun, you probably won't be wearing it for very long. And that's okay. Like no one's saying everything you buy you have to wear forever. And if a Ganni dupe pump, you can't see yourself wearing it in a few years, get it from Primark. Because I'm not expecting you to spend, I don't know how much the real ones are, but like
a few £100. Yeah, it's so easy to just be like, if you can't see yourself wearing it in 5 years, you shouldn't buy it. Because it's easier said than done, and it is like happiness and whatnot at stake. So my personal way of going about a trend would be if I can find it secondhand, I will. But if I really think like, yeah, it's a trend, but I can get it at a really accessible place and an affordable price because it's fake. But in 10 years, I'm still going to be wearing it. Like the Ganni dupe shoes, I could easily wear to work every day. So when it's no longer a trend to be wearing with like knee-high socks and things like that in a more like out there way, I can wear it, taking it back to a basic level.
Do you think?
I do.
Do you think that was the pump trend? Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's just
I'm not sure.
That's a combination of the ballet pump trend coming back and the grunge trend.
Well, I think with that shoe in particular, yes. But I couldn't see myself wearing. I have one pair of pumps, the red ones, which is actually I bought it for something. I bought it to wear. No, I bought it to wear with a specific dress for the Brits because I didn't have any red shoes, right?
Oh God.
But I got it really cheap. It was a few pounds on Vinted in case I didn't wear them again. And then they're really trendy now.
Yeah.
So like on another level, I'd probably resell them for way more. But like I knew that they wouldn't stand the test of time for me, so I got them off Vinted. I wouldn't get them from Primark if I knew they were for one occasion. For context, for the visual watchers, the camera died, so we've changed angle slightly.
And I think it's quite a lot.
That's okay. And if you are listening, nothing happened. I just stopped speaking. All I was going to say was that, you know, how we go about things, it is just us on a personal level. So we're not going to be like, this is exactly how you have to purchase. And then, so we're still on downfalls of social media. Someone very close to us had this to say. So, online shopping removes the buyer from seeing the stock and quality in person. When buying from Temu, which we haven't mentioned, Shein, Ali, etc., you can't see the piles of same designs that are mass produced or the quality of usually cheap materials. And I think because of that, it almost hides any guilt because you can't see the full cycle of what you're supporting. But I think fast fashion is okay if you'd wear that piece constantly or for a few years, etc., or it's the essentials. But in my opinion, no one needs an entirely new Shein fit for every gig, show they go to, etc., just to fit in. It's fun and I think it's okay. But like Harry Styles' Love on Tour was crazy.
What for consumerism? Yeah. I think I like the thing about buying from fast fashion it's that whole sustainable wear versus sustainable buy.
Yeah.
We have cheap t-shirts that we wear a lot, but we bought from unsustainable places.
True. There's also, which I saw this on TikTok the other day. So yeah, there's TikTok downfalls, but this made me think about something I'd never thought about before, is merch. You don't think about where merch comes from because...
But recently it has been.
Yeah. So generally you'll just buy something and you don't consider that a lot of the time that is also fast fashion. Obviously there is things that are more sustainable, which I'll get onto in a second. But that almost, you don't see the cycle. Like what this person said with Shein and everything. You don't think about the steps taken to get there, but you just buy it because you're like, oh, it's got like Sabrina Carpenter on it or something.
Yeah.
You just buy it and you're like, I've got this top. And that is the kind of thing. We'll wear like band tees, whatever, old tour t-shirts till we die.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, the fact that it even has the date or the year ages it and makes it not timeless, like immediately. Because some people will be like, why would I wear 2013? It's 10 years later. Like, that's stupid.
Also, some people think it's cringe.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, I don't know if it still is the case, but do you remember when we were like younger, it would be so cringe to wear like an old item of clothing?
Yeah, but then it's like when I worked at Urban, what was it? A 5 Seconds of Summer tour t-shirt came in to the Urban Renewal section. I'm like, where on earth have you sourced this? Stunning work. But the reason why I mentioned it is because Amelia Chicken Shop had
Amelia Chicken Shop.
Amelia I don't know how to say her surname, Dimoldenberg or something. So, Chicken Shop, she brought out a new range of merch, and originally everyone was like, why are you contributing? Like, that's fast fashion. But when you go on her website, there's an entire page documenting exactly the stages in the cycle to getting there. She's been very transparent, and it's not even fast fashion. It was quite sustainable, or at least elements of it was a huge improvement to other places and other merch.
And it's like Harry's merch. He brought back old merch that didn't sell for his most recent tour because he knew that people would buy it. And it's better than just, well, not he probably didn't make the decision, but someone out there knew that people would buy it. So rather than just having it sat in a warehouse, it's being sold.
So my question is, with regards to what this person said in their essay, is if we could see the cycle of exactly how each garment got to the position it is, whether it be merch or old merch or just
because
something.
How do you make merch?
Would it not
I've never thought of this before. Because how much merch are you making? Because surely you don't know how much merch you're selling.
Yeah, so that could lead to
always going to be merch left over,
like overproduction.
Especially, not to drag Harry, he had merch for each individual location.
Yeah, and like with him, it's always going to sell out. But the fact that you just said that he's bringing stuff back, it clearly didn't.
Yeah.
So you just have stuff. Yeah, you have saved it from going to landfill. But if even Harry can't sell out every single piece of merch he makes, what about all the other people?
Yeah, but I think the person was actually saying about Harry was people buying things for the show.
Yeah,
which is like an age-old thing. It's like you want to wear something nice and new and fancy, but is it really your style?
So we went to 2 Love on tours, and I think even accidentally we were just sustainable both times, because the first, well, not sustainable, but we just weren't contributing more. The first time we wore dresses we already owned, I actually wore an old Halloween costume, and the second time we got dressed by High Street, so that is sustainable. Like that's a great way of doing it. Like not that we're working with them for this video, but
we should have.
Yeah, we should have. Like just hiring clothes instead of buying them, because if I don't wear long pink dresses that often, but that's the vibe I wanted to go for, fine line type beat. So getting that, wearing it, sending it back is just way better than me buying this dress and then after being like, well, I'm never going to wear that again. That was just a Harry night dress. That was just for Harry. It's just for him. So yeah. So going back to my question, if we could see the exact stages of the clothing that we're about to purchase, would that change how we buy it?
Because you can see when you go into a shop. And I mean, you can't really anymore because there's so much greenwashing, but you can normally tell. If you're going to a shop, you can kind of feel like,
something's off.
Yeah.
And because a friend made the point that you can even tell how well things have been made by like, I remember her wording being like, the buttons should be flush to the garment. That's all I think of. So now I think if there's something loose, I'm like, you've not been made very well. No, I shouldn't be buying you. But then, I don't know. It's a difficult one. So then, this is such a wide, bold question. And it kind of was made to be quite like polarizing. But the question was, do you think issues surrounding fast fashion would be completely eradicated if social media didn't exist? So, babe, what do you think? No, social media has no major impact. Yes, social media is the main culprit, or somewhat social media makes the problem worse.
Makes the problem worse.
So 85% of people said somewhat makes it worse. 15% said it's the main culprit. And 0% said it has no major effect. Which I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I agree completely.
Yeah, the trend cycles always would have happened if social media didn't exist.
Yeah.
So social media speeds it up and magnifies it. I think that's like a fair statement that I think everyone would agree with.
Yeah, that's the exact thought process that I've gone down. So I said, yeah, it is the problem because I'm gonna switch it around. It will always be a problem. We are always gonna consume what we are being shown. And if we are not being shown it on social media, think about before social media. It was runways and magazines, and then, going forward, like top model shows and things like that. But if you just take it back to the basic of like a runway, you are going to be influenced by that, and then you are going to purchase the things in shops based on what you have seen on a runway a lot of the time. Like, it's a blanket statement. But that's seasonal, so you'd be seeing autumn, winter in like spring, summer or whatever, and then you would have that time. And it's a pretty long cycle of things because it is just seasonal. But social media, like you said, speeds up. So instead of that being this season, it's like this week. Yeah. And it's like something could blow up overnight. And then what we were saying earlier, the production goes like over time and you'll see it in like 3 days. Whereas if something was projected in a trend forecast, they would have months to produce these garments, and it would be slower fashion essentially. Whereas the fact that the trend cycle is being sped up by social media creates faster fashion.
Yeah. And more consuming.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to get it because you're being faced with it. There's things like TikTok Shop, Shein, and things like that, where you can go one place and get everything you could ever need. You don't need to go to multiple different brands. You can get a House of Sunny cardigan and a hissy fit dress all in one shop.
Yeah.
And now that TikTok Shop's a thing, you don't even need to go off social media to buy it.
Yeah, it's the fact that it is amplified it so much more because you can see what someone is wearing, and on that same TikTok, on the same thing that you are being faced with, in the corner you can see, if you click it will just take you there. Yeah. Like, you don't have to search for it because I've linked it.
That now.
That's scary.
Yeah, when we did our High Street posts, it tried to get me to add the dresses.
Yeah, it knew what the dress was, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's really crazy how like that algorithm would work. So I'm like, yeah, it does. But then, I don't know, it's really difficult as well because now the tide is turning ever so slightly because people are taking what they've seen and they're taking, because this is the thing, social media is such a form of inspiration. Like, you are seeing people in other countries doing things, and then that will really inspire and make you think.
You're exposed to more than you would have
Yeah.
if social media didn't exist.
But yeah, I'm saying the tides are turning because people are like thinking more, and I would personally look at TikToks now and think like, what do I own that kind of mimics it? Like, what can I go out and buy to mimic it? But then a lot of people would just be like, yeah, I'll get it. So
yeah, they're not going to tailor it for what they have.
Yeah.
But get what they want.
It's just so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, all in all. But yeah, I absolutely agree that it can't remove the problem at the end of the day, because we're not to blame the older generations, but we are in a climate crisis. Obviously, we have done our bit with like technology and this and everything. But when they have looked at reports and things, again, Becky, tell me if I'm wrong, but isn't it the older generations' choices have made the most impact? So, but we've only had like TikTok for a few years now, so it can't get rid of the problem because the fashion has been a lifelong thing. It's always been the case. The landfill had got worse in the last 20 years. Like, that can't all be from social media,
it's not
surely.
And baby tees.
Yeah, not like I Heart LA or like so I Heart Submissive Men and stuff. Like, it's not all
Harry.
Yeah, I fell in love at Love on Tour. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
And this is why, this is like side note, is we want to make merch.
Yeah.
But we won't do it until we know how to do it sustainably. Yeah. Because we don't want to contribute to this problem.
Because
we
also
could.
I know you guys would buy it because it's Blonde Vibrations merch.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you gonna wear it?
Yeah, we don't want the gimmick, we want it like long life.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so...
Do you think that's something that people should think about when they're making merch then?
I do.
Because merch is such a huge part for musicians to get money. Like, there was this whole big thing with
the sales cuts.
yeah. And do you think, in a world in which artists have to make merch to make touring worth it, because that is a huge part of funding it, do you think that they need to A, potentially take cuts by going down a more sustainable route, and B, do they need to think about what merch is going to last long?
Yeah, or like, can they just make the merch they want to make in the time restraints and like money restraints they have? It is difficult.
What would you do?
I personally, because I can't talk for other people.
Because we are not touring musicians, I suppose.
I would want to wait, but I understand why you wouldn't. Like, I would want to try and like build a plan. It's like Sophia and Chintzia want to do a clothing range, but they've been presented things that are like, it's not right. We want to do it sustainably.
We want to do it right.
Yeah, I would want to wait and do it right, but then, well, we haven't made merch, which is what we want to do, because we're waiting to do it right, but because we've not reached the answer yet, we can't start production. And for touring musicians, if they're waiting for this, like, oh, that's how we do it, like, that's the right way, their tour's going to be over. Like, if you're going on tour in like 2 months and you haven't made merch yet, like, I understand that there is like higher like limits and restraints on things. So it's like a easier said than done. Like, it has to be sustainable, but in an ideal world, I wouldn't feel comfortable producing.
If you can't do it properly, don't do it at all.
What do you think?
I don't know, because I'm aware that a lot of people probably couldn't afford to tour if they didn't sell things.
Yeah.
So it's then like, do you just not tour? But then if you don't tour, you're not getting the exposure from touring.
And if you're touring without merch, then that's taking away like a tangible thing that people will consume.
Yeah.
I
think it's like a inevitable evil.
Yeah, it's like picking the lesser of evils. Yeah. Is that the phrase? Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Because I've not been to a show where merch has been sold out.
No. Like, you have to almost have like a
because I've maybe back in day, but in like current history, I've never left a show, and even if it's closing night, and I've never seen like sold out on anything, or heard anyone be like, I wanted to get this t-shirt but it was sold out.
So then, okay.
But then people tend to list it online afterwards, discounted. True.
If we're going with the arguments we've been making about other clothes, like, we have to think of merch in the same way. If it's not sustainable, are you going to wear it long term? Because then the high risk, high reward kind of argument, like, yeah, it's a fast fashion product,
even if it's going to make you happy.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of like a merch top that I own. A Sabrina one, yeah. If I bought that, it's fast fashion, but if I'm still going to wear it in 10 years, it's worth it.
You're going to wear that one in 10 years?
I'm going to be vacuum packing that for
I Heart Sluts t-shirt.
Yes, my children are going to wear it. Sluts in it. Yeah. Well, maybe not that one, but I can't think of another one Okay, well, I really wanted to get a Lana t-shirt, like a tall one. I didn't. I know that I would be wearing that in years to come.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be worth is a loose term, but yeah, I probably would buy it.
Guys, I still wear my 1975 merch from their second album tour.
Jack Harlow?
Yeah.
I bought a Jack Harlow tour t-shirt. I've worn it to death. I'll wear it to bed, to the gym, to work when I worked at Urban, and out. Like, that is a all-rounder t-shirt, and I wish I had two. And it probably...
I wish I had two.
And I would do it again. I wish I had it in another colour, to be quite honest with you. It's fast fashion, but I've made more use of it than probably a sustainable top that I own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So...
oh, that's so interesting. I'd love to speak to an artist about it.
Yeah, I think we probably should. If there's any artists that are watching
you've made merch.
Yeah, like, did you consider it, and how high on your priority list is it? And is
Manny made merch.
Okay,
Manny made fan merch. That's okay. And did it on a pre-order basis, I think.
Oh, pre-order basis.
If I'm wrong.
Yeah, that would change it.
We'll speak to him about it, and we'll
Because then,
maybe you guys will get some blonde merch, I don't know.
yeah, this will be part 3. Is going to be like,
oh, the process of getting merch.
Oh, that would be lovely. Okay, well, when we'll stop talking about merch, then we'll go on to the next.
Spoil our plans.
We're reaching the end of this anyway, so we just did some open box questions for you guys. General tips on reducing fast fashion.
That person hates influencers.
I know. So, the most overwhelming tip, and we've already touched upon it, is charity shopping. Charity shops till I die, someone said. And like, yeah, that's always going to be, especially because of the fact that trend cycles are so short now, is that you will see the things that you can still buy in the shops, in the charity shops now.
Yeah, and also you get the benefit of it's charity.
Yes, of course. If you're looking at it selflessly.
Is that we were saying earlier, would you rather buy something cheap and then donate money elsewhere, or would you rather buy something expensive? You can do both.
And then the online addition to that is like Vinted and Depop. There's also charity shops on Depop.
Yeah.
British at BHF. Say no more.
Is that their at on Depop?
I think so. If they got that at, then that's really cool. And there's also, I follow so many charity shops on Depop. It's great. It's like 6 cents or something. That's not what it is, but it's something. It's just really good ones. I don't know. If anyone wants a list, I can tell you. Someone else said, something I've been doing subconsciously is trading clothes with my friends. We do this. I will, if I have something and I'm like, I'm not going to wear it anymore, but I know you will. I have a purple butterfly mesh top.
Which you guys have probably seen.
Yeah, and I know when I bought that in lockdown, and I really wore it in lockdown, and then it just doesn't fit. Like, it's just not for me anymore, but it goes with a lot of what I don't wear, but you would wear. So, although it's not typically, your colour palette, or I used to wear a lot of mesh.
Yeah.
And you don't really wear as much mesh, but, like, it suits you and it fits you and it makes you feel nice. So,
and I think it's nice to be able to see your clothes have another life.
Yeah, definitely.
I love trading clothes. I think it's so fun.
And also, I'm so horribly sentimental that I love the idea that the clothing is getting new memories.
And it's still in your house.
It is. If I want it back, I can.
So let's all lend me an item of clothing, and then I'll be like, "Oh, I should give it back to you." She's like, "Nah."
Because like, if I want it, I just come get it. Like,
I wardrobe, and I'm like,
tried to give her a sweater vest the other day, and she gave it back, and I was like, "But you're gonna wear it before me, so you keep that." Someone else said,
"We need to find that neon pink one for the season."
True. I think I did find it. I might be lying. I'm not sure.
That pink neon vest will finally get a wear.
Yeah.
That's been 2 years.
Someone else said, if you see a trend, this is well interesting. If you see a trend, look for pieces that were popular when it was last a trend rather than buying it new. So I guess that is like a buying it vintage.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you search on Depop, instead of like the trend that you're seeing, search for the trend buzzwords almost, and then you'll find things related to it.
That's when like core works.
Yeah.
Is that like I wear a lot of like ballet core things. I've always worn ballet core things because I've always worn skirts, strappy tops, little cardigans. But the rise of ballet core hasn't changed my consumption or my buying habits. It just means that it's easier for me to find things. Yeah, and like slightly different but similar is a lot of fast fashion places will still call things vintage. Like a lot of that, if it's just like distressed vintage or look. Grunge or whatever, like vintage look, like you said. But I search a lot on like Depop and Vinted for 90s to 70s. And that fits, and I fear I'm giving away like a little gold mine that I have. 90s to 70s is just amazing. It like fits exactly what I like. Like the Phoebe Buffet type beat. If you know, then you know. If not, then stop. Don't do it. It's mine. Yeah. More charity shopping. Invest in pieces that you love and are timeless. Yeah, of course. Like in an ideal world, because it's a trend. Buy it because you like it. I think when I was younger, I used to fall into the buy it because it's a trend and that's what everyone else is wearing. Whereas now I buy because I like things, and if it's trendy, then that's a bonus. But if I like it, sorry. That's okay. God, I wasn't expecting your foot to be there. That's okay. If I like it, then I like it, and if it's not a trend, then... Yeah, because in lockdown, I bought so much stuff because it was trending. I brought an Opoly neon mini
bodycon tight dress with clear plastic sleeves. And do you know what? It didn't even fit me, and I just kept it, and I didn't take it back. So that's another thing, is like return things. Don't just keep it.
Yeah.
As long as you know that the return doesn't just get sent to landfill or whatever, like, send it back. Don't keep it. But it actually fits me better now than it did there. But I look at it and I'm like, the strap broke. And I was like, that is so poorly made, because when you went to look where to stitch it back in, it was glued on. And I'm like, who glues a plastic strap? It is so dumb. So yeah, invest in things that they look like they will, or can easily be repaired as well, is a good thing. Like, I had a pair of, and I found them outside student accommodation, pair of Levi jeans, and then they got a giant hole in them, but it could be stitched up. Like, don't just throw it if you can, like, make use of it again. Or even in another way, like, if you could change that into, like, a skirt or something, which I haven't really thought about. Someone else said, who has been very strong on this influencer ride, we need to stop giving fashion influencers engagement. I feel strongly about this. De-influence.
I like that. I'm a sucker for this. I actually can't wholeheartedly agree with them, because I love fashion influencers. But I think a middle ground is not to have fashion influencers, but to have people whose fashion you like.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, rather than someone who gets clothes sent to them, they wear it, they take a picture. I think this is the kind of influencer that we need to steer away from.
The ones that are just promoting toxic, like, choices, just being like, I bought this for this outfit, for this concert tonight, and then you never see them wearing it again. And regardless of what they get sent, they're going to be like, I love it, you should buy it, use this code.
This is going to sound so beefy, but, like, you know, the ones that are like, thank you, Jack Wills, for taking us to Leeds Festival. And they're wearing all Jack Wills, but you know full well
they wouldn't wear
they're not wearing Jack Wills when they're not being sponsored by Jack Wills.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said about just finding people that you, like, admire the fashion of, or, like, I love, like, because de-influence is becoming a thing on TikTok at the minute. Like, I would trust someone if they got a pile of clothes sent to them and they were like, I love this, it was really good quality. This is poor quality, so just so you know, if you're going, like, you need to, like, really think about what you want from this shop, because some things are a hit and some things are a miss. I would value that so much.
Authenticity in your social media habits.
Absolutely.
And controlling who you view, because I think there's an idea that we sit at social media and social media just speaks at us, and I don't think that's true. I think
it changes based
for a reason, and I think you can have an Instagram feed that doesn't have toxic fashion habits.
Yeah,
you just need to work for it.
If all somebody is promoting to you is these, like, trend cycles and you don't agree with them, unfollow them instead of being like, no, like, I'm just not going to listen. Like, just get rid of them. You don't need it. And also, less on people, but more on your environment, is if you don't want to buy, and this is, again, easier said than done, willpower vibes, but if you don't want to be sucked into, like, fast fashion, is don't put yourself in a situation where you're there. So, and I can, like, openly say this, is when I worked at Urban Outfitters, I was buying so many, for both of us, we got sucked in to buying clothes, like, a lot, because it would be like, you would see them.
It's on sale, we can get a discount, we need it.
If I could get 60% off for something fast fashion, like, it takes a stronger person than me to be like, no, absolutely not. Like, I wouldn't do it, like, too much, but, you know, like, every so often, we would just get things, and, like, just be like, yeah, but it was with staff discount, so it's fine. But it's like, it was a tenner instead of 40. But it's like, well, still a tenner. Like, you've still bought the thing, just because it was at a cheaper value. Like, it's, again, you're not thinking about the cycle behind how it's got there and how it's gone into sale. Because I used to have this opinion, and it was very uneducated, and I'm not sure what happened. I would be like, okay, if I don't buy it in the sale, it's gonna go to landfill, or someone else is gonna buy it anyway, so I may as well just buy it. Yeah. And I don't entirely disagree with what I mean, because I would need to look into it more, because I still don't understand, if it's not purchased, how does it not go to landfill? But it's taking the step of the supply and demand. Is if it's not being sold out, they're going to stop production. The SD card was full, so once again, there's a little jump. But my point was just, I don't understand the cycle. But if we got shown the cycle more, and just more education, and I think, like, it sounds dumb to be like, it should be in the curriculum, but a little bit. Like, I don't think that to learn about sustainability, I should have to pick a module to do it. Like, I think there should be a little bit, like, basics.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure how that would work. But yeah, so finally, just
something fun to end on.
Yeah, this is what you guys think trends that will stick are. Do you have any that you think?
Ooh.
Because I said my 2 pennies worth was basics, and I mean in like a Skims basic way, like bodysuits, bodycon, like even if they're not always at the forefront of a fashion trend, like they're always there.
I would argue the opposite.
Really?
I would argue sweet dresses. I think like cutesy dresses. I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased because they're always going to be in trend for me, but I think cute dresses is something that I think anyone can buy and put away, and at some point you'll wear it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be biased because I'm looking at them.
We're seeing it. I also said black boots, like a Doc-esque boot, and I said grunge as well, because although it's not always in fashion, like it's not always the trend. Yeah, like it's always not like it's a type of person, but like the grunge people will always exist.
Yeah.
And also that is one that is a surefire thing to just come back. Like in this 20-year cycle, are you laughing at grunge people? Do you know what I mean?
Grunge people will always exist.
Like that is like a subsection of like, because it's part of
a community.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just the fashion, it's the culture and the music, and that is always going to be present.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the trendy present, it's gonna come back. Like, you've seen it. Like,
I'd like colour to stay in trend forever, but I know it won't.
What, like dopamine dressing?
No.
I mean, it could.
It could now, but I don't know.
Someone else on like a similar wavelength to me said leather jackets, timeless. That is true.
I have my mum's leather jacket that she bought vintage before I was born. And I just feel like you go into a vintage shop and there's always leather jackets and you always buy them.
Yeah, I think leather jackets always on trend. It's just the style of them. So in the 10s, it was like the fitted ones. At the minute, it's oversized. But now you're seeing the 10s come back, like the Elena Gilbert style.
Really? That's good. That's mine. But that doesn't stop me wearing mine.
Yeah. So like the cropped, tighter ones, now that's coming in.
Really?
And you're seeing like the red leather. Like that's how it's evolving. But the constant is the leather.
That shows how like trends we don't follow, because I didn't know that was like a cycle happening.
Yeah. Well, it's like I have a giant Levi's denim jacket. Denim is always like, regardless.
Yeah, jeans.
Like you will always be able to like count on denim.
Yeah.
Someone else said cowboy boots because I will enforce it as fashion. And then someone else said like a look that you feel confident in, and also cool trainers. Yeah, but those two go together because it is what you enforce as fashion.
Yeah.
But we'll save that point for a minute. Someone said Crocs, at least for me, are for life.
I don't know if I agree about Crocs. I think the functionality of Crocs will always be there. I don't think they'll stay in
top form fashion. Like,
but I'm not a Croc girl.
I'm a Croc girl. I believe
you're a function Croc girl.
Yeah, though, I don't think. Yeah, because I don't think they were trendy when you got them for my birthday.
I hated them.
That's really interesting.
Got them, and they weren't trendy, and I really didn't like them, and I bought Eliz zebra print Crocs for her birthday, and yeah, they weren't trendy.
That's really crazy.
They were really hard to find.
Because that is not to say that I was ahead of the but they now thinking about it, they weren't
really hard to find.
Yeah, because I was fighting this losing battle of Crocs being cool, and then look at them now.
Yeah. But crazy. You wear them out of function.
Yeah.
You don't wear, like, if you're going out, you don't put them on.
That's true. So, it's interesting then, isn't it? But I don't think I'll ever throw those Crocs away in my life. Because, like you said, even if I don't go out in them, I'll go in the garden, I'll sit, like, if I'm going to be barefoot, I'll put the Crocs on instead. I see the appeal of them like that. Yeah. Like, now and then I'm like, God, I wish I just had, like, a pair of Crocs I could just chuck on in the garden. However, I'll never get over the fact that, like, they just give dad core to me. Like, my dad has, like, a khaki version, and I just see that forever. Similarly, wearing things in a different way to what you used to, which I know you have beef with some of my pyjama sets because they're not. So I wear, like, a Hooters top to bed
But
sometimes.
you bought the Hooters top unironically. Like, you bought that Hooters top to be seen.
And I would, but at the minute, I wear it to bed and I will wear it out at some point. But that also keeps clothes going in your wardrobe a lot of the
'cause
time.
you have it in your
Yeah,
inside
once
car.
they transition to bedtime clothes, which is like the Jack one, or they transition to gym clothes, instead of throwing them away, you're just repurposing them.
Yeah.
Someone said layered shirts. I agree. Like,
yeah,
that's...
layers, that'll always, because every winter you need layers.
Yeah.
I love like a long sleeve t-shirt
Mm,
and long sleeve underneath t-shirt.
absolutely.
How
It's like Dominic Fike core, if we're gonna make a core, do you know what I
But
mean?
Dominic Fike wears baggy long sleeve t-shirts underneath baggy t-shirts.
I would do that.
Yeah, but it's so, like, that's so not what I mean.
But then it's like interpretation.
Yeah.
I guess someone said stripes. Yeah, that will always, whether it be vertical or
Yeah,
horizontal.
you'll always see stripes as a
stripe.
pattern, yeah.
Someone said the colour red, next season's colour.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I guess we'll see if it's next season's colour. Let's see if it does, shall we?
No prediction.
And then someone said, which is a good point to end on, in my opinion, it's trendy to not conform so much. Baggy jeans, skinny jeans, emo, fairy, who GAF, slay.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter, like, what you're doing, if you're not following a trend, it will look cool.
Yeah, and
Because
even if
that's how the world works.
you could take a trend that was a 1 week long trend, now everyone's like, but if you love it still, just wear it. Like, it really
And you'll
does not
look cooler
matter.
because you'll not be doing the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about all of this, as a closing note. Is that actually, if you follow a trend, you don't look cool. If you don't follow trends, you look cool because you look unique.
But then if you want to follow a trend, you can.
Yeah.
You just have to be knowledgeable in the way, like, why
You
are you
do
going
it.
into the trend? Like, if you do it because you want to,
Yeah.
slay, who GAF. If you're doing it to be on trend and to look cool, that's
Yeah.
when it's like, maybe you should take a step back
It's
and
like
think about what you're doing.
it's like a win-win.
Mm.
You follow a trend and you do it positively, win. You don't follow a trend and you wear what you want to wear,
Win.
win. Like, do what you want to do, live your dreams, wear what you want to wear.
Yeah, it really is just about, like, educated steps that are going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Slay.
And the world being happy is an added bonus.
Because there is no planet B. Thank you, Reading and Leeds. Like, that, no music on a dead planet.
Did they even use that this year? Yeah.
I don't know, but it was like proper last year.
Last year it would have there is no planet B.
Yeah, and it was so like dystopian vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
We're
so
gonna call this a day because we are racking up those minutes.
yeah,
Sorry, Becky.
we have been recording for an hour and a half. So whether this be 1 part or 2 parts, that's
I
down
think
to
one part.
Becky's interpretation of
Yeah.
what she feels fit. But we'll go from there. And we're actually going charity shopping.
Yeah.
So we're going to meet up with Caitlin
Who you
To-
guys know?
to let you know we're going to Stoke Newington and Dalston. So we'll let you know if they are
Yeah.
on the Blonde Vibrations certified list of sustainable shops.
Yeah.
That was a lot of...
But thanks for watching. Let us
Thank
know
you.
if you enjoyed this and if you have any follow-up questions that we can talk about in a future episode.
Absolutely.
Come chat to us on Instagram or at @isblonde_vibrations, and we
Mm.
have a link tree there
Yeah,
and
it will-
everything else.
literally has everything. So whether you're on YouTube right now, subscribe. If you're on Spotify right now, follow us, rate us 5 stars, and download this episode.
Also on Apple Podcasts and any other streaming
Yes,
services that you're using.
I don't know the Apple steps, but do whatever the Apple equivalent
Yeah,
to
rate
Spotify
us.
is.
Give us happy reviews, rate us 5 stars.
Make us happy. Tell us where to shop.
Yeah.
And have a nice day. So, goodbye.
Bye guys.
Love ya. See ya. Bye.
ya.